what I'm going to do now is turn off layers that I don't need to be viewing right now. So for example, the A hatch layer, simply going to click on the correct icon, turn that off, and also the A text layer. Once I've done that, moving my cursor to the drawing screen and clicking, and the information is now turned off. I'm now going to pan my drawing, and I should have zoomed in a little bit. There we go. Now I'm going to exit. What I'm going to do now is place the dimensions just like they're shown on the sketch. So to do dimensions, I can open the dimension toolbar. To do that, right click over any icon, look for the dimension text here, and then pick that. What I want to do is place a linear dimension. Let me take this first and dock it down here for a moment, and begin by selecting linear. You'll notice the command line reads to specify the first extension line origin or to select the object. My first extension line, this is basically where do I want the definition point to be placed. I know I want it here, and I can tell right now that my O snap is not on because I'm not seeing the markers, so I'm going to turn that on, and now it will snap to that endpoint. This is where I'm placing the first point. With that done, now it indicates to specify the second extension line origin. I'm going to pick this endpoint. When I click on it, I'm going to move my cursor up, and I'm going to select the location. It does not have to be exact, it just has to be far enough away from the object. I'll pick right here, and just like that, I have placed a dimension line. Let me zoom in to show you what was happening. I'm going to turn off the wall layer for a moment, and down here you can see the definition points, and again the distance is being measured from point A to point B, and that distance is 6 inches, and it is shown here in our text. I'm going to turn that layer back on, but actually what I'm going to do is show you a new icon, this one that indicates layer previous. I want to go back to the way the layers were previously shown, and it turns on the wall layer for me. There we go. I'm trying to cover 2 or 3 things here at once. Zooming previous and minimizing this 6 inches, and now I want to place the next dimension line. And what I'll do is show you from the pull down menu. You can also select dimension and select linear, specifying the first extension line. I know I want it to be here, and the second extension line, I know I want it to be lined up with this endpoint, but for my purposes I really don't want that to begin until it reaches the top of this line. So what I'm going to do is turn object snap tracking on, and I'm going to have it track this point, just putting my cursor over it, moving it up slowly, and letting it track the endpoint to the intersection of the horizontal line. And now I will click, and I want it to line up exact. How am I going to do that? I'm going to let it snap to the endpoint of this extension line, and clicking now. That guarantees that it's running straight across, and we have the beginning of what we call a dimension string. I'm going to continue. Again, dimension linear. I want to place the next 6 inches, and taking advantage of my O snap and O track, I know I'd like my first extension line to begin a little bit off of this endpoint, moving that cursor up, trying to get it to line up. If it's not possible, zoom in. Let's see if I can track this from the endpoint, moving my cursor up, and there we go, snapping to that intersection. And the next point, letting it snap, or rather track this endpoint up until it reaches the intersection of this line, and now I'm going to select again. I want it to be 6 inches, and again, let's let it snap to this point, or what I could have done is I could have set my perpendicular on. Let me do a shift right click, and I can force perpendicular and make sure it's placed perpendicular to this dimension line. And just like that. What we now have is the appearance of one continuous line. But in fact, it's made up of the three dimension lines we have. Let me take this here for a moment. I'm going to copy this object from this location over. Zooming in on that. As you can see, if I move the object, it selects the entire dimension line with the extension lines and the text. So the dimension is treated as a single entity. Let me tap the escape key. And now I'd like to show you some features of these dimension lines.